What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, and I'll be taking a look at the Stokastic MLB DFS Lineup Generator. I'll be looking at lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Of course, reminder, you can still get Lineup Generator for 50% off the first week, the regular price. Normally, it's $9 per week. For your first week, you can get it for $4.48 using the link in the description of this video for your first week. It'll then be just $9 after that. So still a great price for a tool that every single lineup you're going to get in the lineup generator is going to be a good lineup. These are all lineups that have been run through the Stokastic Sims. They've been found to be plus EV lineups, but still interesting to look at the types of lineups that we're getting here. I'll be comparing them a little bit to the top stacks tool, the top pitchers tool. We don't always get, every stack that we get here isn't necessarily going to be a stack that has positive leverage in the top stacks tool, but we know that the lineups that we're given are balanced in a way that you can use those. Even lineups that have negative leverage can still be used if the lineup itself is balanced right with the secondary stack, the pitchers, etc. Got to find that right balance, and Lineup Generator is going to do that for us. I'm going to start here by looking at the DraftKings lineups. I'm going to do all stack types, and I'm just going to do balanced lineups here. All right, I'm not going to lock in any pitchers. Just going to let it give me what it gives me. And of course, right away, the first lineups we have here, we got Freddie Peralta, Joe Musgrove as the pitchers, both around 30% projected ownership. Not extremely chalky, but not particularly contrarian either. Of course, we have two of the better offenses on today's slate. San Francisco is playing in Coors Field today. Dodgers in a great spot as well. So the first stack we have is a San Francisco and Los Angeles stack. Looks like this is a 5-3 San Francisco and Dodgers stack. Looking like we're getting kind of lower ownership on David Peralta here at just 4.4% ownership. Casey Schmidt at just 6%. So really, this is it's balanced, but also we have a lot of pieces that really bring down the ownership on this lineup. Players under 10% owned. So looks like a good lineup to me. And if we look at the top stacks tool, let's see what we find. All right, so top stacks tool, San Francisco, of course, number one in terms of odds of being the top stack on the board. We've got them with a 14% chance of being the top stack, just 10% projected ownership. They look good today, and not a surprise, Dodgers number two. So first stack we see here actually looks really good in the top stack tool. It's the top two overall teams. Positive leverage for the Giants. The Dodgers we have, almost neutral, basically a little bit of negative leverage here, but not a huge concern. Overall, the lineup looks great. Both great offense for the Dodgers, fine offense for San Francisco, and of course, both in great ballparks in Colorado and Cincinnati. So that lineup looks good. As far as the pitchers, we have Freddie Peralta, Joe Musgrove. Had to remind myself what we have here. We've got Joe Musgrove as third overall in top two pitcher odds at 14%. He is going a little bit over-owned in the tools. Again, we're willing to sometimes eat some chalk at the pitcher position, just so much more projectable than bats. And then Freddie Peralta, also negative leverage, but he is top five in terms of top two pitcher odds. So we're getting two of the better pitchers on the board in, not great matchups here. We've got Musgrove against Seattle. It's kind of a middling matchup, I would say. Freddie Peralta in Baltimore, middling matchup there as well, maybe even a little bit of a tough matchup, but both talented pitchers, both in the top five in terms of top two pitcher odds. So looks like a good first lineup. I'm not going to look at all of them, I'm just going to look quickly. All right, so I saved that one. Okay, looks like I had already gone through 19 lineups on the slate earlier today. So we're going to save ourselves some time rather than going through. I'm not going to go back and discard some lineups, but I will say what I like to do here. So this is the screen that you get to once you have saved 20 lineups. In case you're confused, it's because I was on a show this morning. I went through the lineup generator, created 19 lineups apparently earlier, just had one more to save. But now, once you get through, so now I've got 20 lineups saved here already. You can see what happens on the right here. Here are my player exposures. So what I would likely do if I get to, this amount of Tucupita Marcano, I'm going to go back and find some of those Marcano lineups, and I would discard them and then go back and find some lineups that are not Pirate stacks. Because I made these lineups pretty early in the day. Obviously, the lineups that you want to make are going to change throughout the day. So I'm making this in the middle of the afternoon. I'm probably making better lineups right now than I was this morning, and I'll probably making even better lineups 2 hours from now than I am right now, because ownership changes, we get different lineups, etc., etc. Things change throughout the day, so you really do want to make these closer to lock generally. So what I would do, though, if I get there and I'm still getting to a ton of certain players and I don't want that much, I'm just going to go back, discard some of the lineups where I'm getting those players, and then you can go back and say get more lineups. and just make sure that I don't have. All right, so here's one with Marcano, and I'm going to discard that one. Discard. Seen Marcano in all of these. I'm going to wait until I find one that does not have. Okay, so this one does not have Marcano in it. Now I'm going to save this. Discard. All right, here's another one with no Marcano. Going to save that. And I'm just discarding all the Marcano lineups. All right, so I brought down my exposure a little bit. Now I can go back. I get more lineups, try to find some more without Marcano. Looks like this one's good. Now we've got Ellie De La Cruz, kind of exciting. Ellie De La Cruz at just 2,000 today, going to look really good in that shortstop spot. So now you can see I changed up the lineups a bit. Now I'm down to 60% Marcano. Still don't know if I really want to have 60% either, but that's kind of the process in general. I look through the lineup, see who I'm getting too much of. I like to look at the individual lineups as well, but trying to keep this video short. So you just there's some skill involved in spreading out your exposures in these lineups, figuring out exactly how much you want of certain pitchers, certain stacks. Although you are getting only plus EV lineups, the skill comes into deciding how much risk you want to incorporate into your process. If you really want to spread out your ownership, really mitigate your risk a little bit, or if you're willing to play a riskier strategy and play a ton of Pirate stacks or Dodger stacks or whatever the stack might be that you like. It's a little bit riskier if you're just going to a lot of one stack. So that's where the skill comes into using this tool. Now I'm going to take a look at the lineup generator for some FanDuel lineups as well. And I'm going to go all stack types once again. I'm going to go to balance lineups. And I'm not going to lock any pitchers on FanDuel. All right, so the first pitcher we get is Kevin Gausman. I'll go to the top pitchers tool for FanDuel. And yeah, Kevin Gausman has the highest odds of anybody of being the top pitcher on the slate. A little bit of negative leverage here, coming in at 16% ownership, 8% chance of being the top pitcher on the slate. But still, he has the best odds of being the top pitcher on the slate. Not a great matchup with Houston, but obviously a talented pitcher, so willing to go there. Stacks we're getting here are Arizona and Pittsburgh with a Shohei Ohtani one-off. Looks like this is a 4-3 Arizona Pittsburgh stack with that Ohtani one-off. Looks good overall. Couple bats here getting really low ownership. Gabriel Moreno, Josh Rojas for the D-backs getting fairly low ownership. Otherwise, generally not extremely contrarian bats here, but overall just 124% projected ownership on this lineup. Not bad. I'm going to save that one. Second lineup we get is going to be Pittsburgh and Dodgers stack. Is this just a full 4-4? It looks like this is just a full 4-4 Pirates Dodgers stack. Clark Schmidt as a pitcher at 7,700, using, leaving $600 on the table, using close to the full salary cap. I'm curious if we have any pitchers that we would rather play there than Clark Schmidt, because you can always go into the tool and do that. So we have Clark Schmidt. He's 7,700. We could upgrade to Joe Musgrove if we wanted to here. So we do have Joe Musgrove with slightly higher odds of being the top pitcher. Very slightly, 0.5% higher likelihood of being the top pitcher on the slate. Musgrove also getting more ownership than Clark Schmidt. So that might be why Clark Schmidt makes some sense in that lineup. But if you wanted to, in lineup generator, you can always go out, swap him out, swap in Joe Musgrove if you want to. Of course, I caution against doing this too much because, again, these lines have been balanced perfectly for you, but it is something you can do. If you really don't feel comfortable with Schmidt, you prefer Musgrove, that's something you can do in lineup generator. Next lineup, Clark Schmidt once again. Now we're using close to the full salary. So you can't be upgrading here. We're going back to Clark Schmidt. We've got Elias Diaz in Coors Field. Otherwise, looks like this must be a 4-2-2 stack. We got two Colorado bats here in Elias Diaz and Brenton Doyle. Then we have 4 Pittsburgh bats and just 2 Dodgers bats. So this is a 4-2-2 stack, just 122% projected ownership on this lineup. Looks like another good one. All right, I'm going to go through and save 20 lineups. You can do 20 at a time here. And looks like we're more spread out on FanDuel than we were on DraftKings, getting to 53% Mookie Betts as my highest exposed player. Brian Reynolds, 47%. So still getting into a good amount of the Pirates. Looks like Pirates, Dodgers, both looking like two of our top stacks here. Highest owned pitcher we're getting in these 20 lineups is Clark Schmidt. Getting Joe Musgrove down here. That's, of course, after I made a swap as well. So maybe it would have been a little bit more of Clark Schmidt, even Kevin Gausman coming in at 21%. Fairly spread out, though, on FanDuel. Just goes to show you, you can make positive UV lineups in a lot of different ways. Of course, you can just use the MLB Lineup Generator to do it for you as well. Probably the easiest way to make plus EV lineups is to use this lineup generator. It's a fantastic tool. You can get it for 50% off. Again, the link is in the description of this video. If you don't already have it, get it 50% off your first week. So it'll just be $4.48. So that's going to do it for this video. Just a quick look at DraftKings and FanDuel lineups for tonight's slate. Good luck on the slate. Let's win some money tonight.